just get in the car. Do you ever find yourself saying that? That is probably the mantra of so many moms throughout the world. Just get in the car. It's hard. It's hard to get yourself and everybody off in the morning. Now, for those of you who maybe your husband does it, or you've got kids that just wake up and get going, God bless you. That's not this girl's life. So, how do I find a pocket of pretty in the morning? How do I leave my house and not go crazy? This is what I do. First of all, I've come to accept that the only person I can control is myself. I would love to think that I have total control over my children. If you think that, you're going down that river in Egypt. That's right, baby. Denial. Now, do I have some ways of getting them to follow procedure and do things well? Sure. And I'll be talking about that in other episodes. But for today, I'm just going to focus on what can I do to make the situation better? Because honestly, I'm the one I can fully control. So when I looked at the issue and how frustrated I was in the morning, one of the first things I had to address was time. A lot of the time, I was spreading myself too thin. I wanted to sleep in. I am not a morning person. People think I'm a morning person because when they see me during the day, I'm very energetic and very bubbly, and that's not how I wake up. I have learned to fake it until I make it, but I have learned that I need to get up early. When I get up early, I have more control over what happens after that. If I have all of my stuff together, then I can be more patient with my children and start them off on a good day too. So, how has that happened? Well, slowly, inch by inch, I have backed up my wake-up time. Back in the day when I didn't have kids and I was young and I had a later start time, I would get up at 7 and it was great. And back then I thought 7 was early. I was a foolish, foolish girl. As time has gone by, I have backed it up to 6:45, 6:30, eventually 6, then 5:30. Do you see where this is going? Now my wake-up time is 4:30. Never in my life did I ever think I would be a person who would get up at 4:30. You have to be crazy to get up at 4:30. Or you have to be desperate. In my previous episode, I talked about the beauty of silence. Quite honestly, this was the only place I could record this because every time I tried to record, somebody was screaming in the background or something was happening. But this is a good place. It's what it's meant to be. It's all good. So 4:30, how does my morning go? I backed it up to 4:30 because I was finding that I had good intentions of having my quiet time. And I was going to have my quiet time in the evening. And for those of you who aren't Christians, quiet time is where a time when you read your Bible and you pray and you just kind of spend time with God. And for some of you, maybe that's meditation or just having your cup of coffee and drinking the newspaper. There you go. Good luck with that. Reading the newspaper. Anyway, so I needed that half an hour with God because it wasn't happening later. There was always something that was going to come up. And I'm too easily distracted too. I wonder where my boys get it. So what I did was I backed it up to 4:30. And from 4:30 to 5, I read my Bible. then I literally have a silent alarm that goes off on my Fitbit because it's easy to fall asleep at 4:30 in the morning. And I don't want to fall back to sleep and then be in a rush. So my Fitbit rings or vibrates at 5. I get up, hop in the shower, get myself ready. By 5:30 or 5:45, I'm good to go. I've had some time to kind of wake myself up and not be a hot mess going into my kids' room. And with my youngest, he needs my full attention. He has high functioning autism, and for him, it's a challenge staying on task, getting dressed, and being able to get out the door and start his day in a pleasant way. That's just a gift to everybody. Let's just face it. His teachers do not want a child walking in who's already had a meltdown that morning because it just didn't go well. He felt rushed. He goes into panic mode. He goes into fight or flight really quickly. His little amygdala just shuts down the minute he feels stressed. So I do that. So sometimes I walk in, and because I have had, an hour to an hour and 15 minutes to get myself together, I go in and I sing. Or maybe I just walk in and turn on a light and say, "Good morning, how are you?" And I have time to talk to him. I have time to actually cook him a hot breakfast, or I have time to get him to process what he actually wants for breakfast that morning. And I know that sounds ridiculous to a lot of people, but for a child who's autistic, making a decision is a major event sometimes, even if it's just a matter of which shirt do I wear and which shirt doesn't hurt, or what breakfast do I want. It takes him a long time to process that information and figure it out. And quite honestly, my child is a sweet kid, and I don't want to start his day in a wrong way. My oldest child has very strong ADHD. He is a different child after his medication takes a hold. He once said to me, when we finally figured out a good balance for him, he was, I want to say, second grade, and he looked at me and he just said, "Mommy, it used to be so hard to be good. Now it's just so hard to be bad." And that happens frequently with him. He will have a really rough morning, and then later on he'll come to me as a 17-year-old does and go, "I don't know why I act that way." Sometimes if I can just be ready for it, I can help him have a good morning too. And let's just face it, nobody wants to get in the car falling apart. Will it happen? Sure. Are there going to be mornings when we don't leave at 6:30? Yeah. And you know what's crazy is I don't even have to be to work technically until 8 o'clock. But leaving at 6:30, if things happen like this morning, we couldn't find the cat anywhere and everybody was freaking out, and my youngest child couldn't find a pair of pants that didn't hurt, it wasn't that big a deal. I was able to patiently say, "Okay, let's find you a pair of pants that doesn't hurt. It's all right." And I was able to look at my oldest son and say, "You'll find the cat. It'll be okay. Don't worry about it." And even though we left 20 minutes late, I was still early for work. It completely cuts down all the road stress. You know, one of the things I used to say all the time was, so hard to get to work. I have to go through 3 school zones. This is crazy. People are so mean. And oh my gosh, this drop-off line drives me crazy. It moves so slow. Why can't people let their child out? I don't have to say that anymore. For the majority of the time, we leave so early, buses aren't even out yet. I go through 3 school zones. Don't have to worry about the buses. Or if I do, it's maybe 1 bus, and I can be patient. I don't have to worry about the kids that are walking to school and it's pitch dark and there are no sidewalks. I'm good because they're still asleep. I don't have to worry about a person who's going to cut me off or the car line being too slow. There's very little traffic that early in the morning. And what's great is I can walk into my classroom and be a sane human being. I can get there early. If I have breakfast duty with 200 third graders, I can get everything set up and be calm so when they walk in, I can help them have a happy day too. Let your mornings be a little pocket of pretty. Keep in mind that you're never going to control the other drivers, your spouse, your kids, your coworkers. The only person you have control over to the biggest extent is you. So if you want to make a change, start with you. Create a morning that is calm. Will there be days when I will say, just get in the car? Yeah, there are going to be those days. But by making some changes, there are a lot less of them. So, I hope you have a great day, and I hope that tomorrow morning you have a little pocket of pretty. Have a great one.